What is the philosophy behind Trees for the Future?
Trees for the Future was founded to help people bring trees back to their lands. There are so many countries where in the last 20, 30, 40 years the change in land cover is just phenomenal. I was in Ethiopia in 2007 and they can remember when, 20, 30 years ago they were covered in woods, and now it is just destroyed. I mean, there's no tree cover left, and people are suffering because of that. And so the philosophy behind it is to work with communities, work with individuals to help them bring trees back to their lands.
How are the trees going to help them?
That's actually one of the most important parts of what we do. Is the idea is that people plant trees because these trees will bring them benefits. And the type of benefits that people find from these trees are they find fodder for their animals. They get fuel wood, so they don't have to travel for 3 or 4 hours a day collecting the fuel wood. They find that incorporating the right kinds of trees in the right ways can actually help improve their agricultural yields in their farms. And so those are just some of the ways in which trees can benefit people. But the whole idea of our programs is that these trees are planted for the benefit of the people that are planting them.
They're not just there to beautify the land.
Typically, no. There are some projects where we do some urban forestry, which do incorporate that, but the vast majority of our projects are working with farmers and communities on degraded lands to help bring trees back to these lands.
And this is primarily for developing countries, is it not?
Yeah, our work is almost entirely in developing countries because what we do is called agroforestry, and it's very applicable to what are sometimes called small resource poor farmers or non-intensive farmers. Basically rain-fed agriculture, subsistence farming. It's a way of increasing yields without incorporating a lot of external inputs, which cost money that people may not have and which are not necessarily available in these areas. Whereas if you plant the right kind of trees and incorporate those into the farms, then you can improve the quality of the agriculture without involving lots of external inputs.
But the population can use the trees. They're just not there to sit and look nice.
Oh, absolutely. The idea is planting trees that will benefit people because people will use them. I mean, the reason for the deforestation is because people need things that are provided by trees. So many different ways in which trees, especially in rural areas, are just a part of daily life. In many areas, natural building techniques involve trees. The trees are the primary source of energy for a huge percentage of the world.
So Pushing Green is going to be sending you some money so that our fans, I guess, Pushing Green fans are going to have their own grove, essentially.
Right.
It's a donation, really, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a donation to our projects in Haiti. And the way it works is that your donation will help support a share of our work for the year, and we will tag a piece of work, in the name of Pushing Green. These projects are designed in the previous year, and then the nurseries are started in the spring, and the trees are planted during the rainy season. So essentially, the trees that you are planting or that you are purchasing is basically a share of our work in Haiti for the year. In this case, in Haiti, we're working with about 10 or 12 different communities down on the Arcadine coast. And so we will choose a community and say these trees that they are planting are in the name of Pushing Green.
And this is particularly timely, isn't it? I mean, are these places that really need the trees in Haiti?
Absolutely. Haiti has one of the highest rates of, not the rates of deforestation in the world, but is one of the most deforested countries in the world. I don't know if you're aware, but Haiti and the Dominican Republic are the same island, and there's literally a line down the middle when you cross from Haiti to the DR, demarcated by the presence or absence of trees. Recently there have been quite a few stories in the press about charcoal smugglers crossing from Haiti into the DR to bring trees back to produce charcoal. And that is actually one of the primary reasons for deforestation in Haiti is the production of charcoal. Over, I believe, 80% of Port-au-Prince still uses charcoal for cooking. And in the rural areas, it's virtually 100%. And charcoal can be sustainably produced, but essentially what's happened in Haiti is, going back centuries, actually all the way back to Haitian independence, a lot of factors have resulted in the complete degradation of their natural resources. And so when the hurricanes come, you have huge problems with landslides. The agriculture the yields are low because the soils have degraded and washed away. The topsoil has all eroded away. And so these trees are going to help these communities essentially bring these lands back to life.
Well, one of the things that I understand that's important, and it's important for the people who care about living a green life, is following and knowing where these trees are.
Right.
How are these folks going to know they're pushing green trees, and can they watch them grow?
Right. Well, basically, we have our coordinators in Haiti have GPS units and digital cameras where they're going to go and will identify the location for these trees. And the idea is that every 3 to 4 months we'll have pictures of these trees. Many of these trees are planted with farmers in a community, so they will be planted by the community in the community's lands, and so they will be able to see kind of the updates and the progress on the work that we're doing there.
So we can watch our trees grow.
Basically, yeah. I mean, not quite a live feed, but you know, we'll be updating the pictures at least a couple times a year. And so these trees grow very fast, actually. These in the tropics, the kind of trees we plant, which are basically leguminous, fast-growing trees, can grow 5 to 10 feet a year. So depending on having good rains and if they're planted correctly, but they can grow quite fast. So I think within the next year or two, you guys will really see kind of where those trees are growing.
So you did say this already, but what kind of trees are going to be grown in Haiti, and why are those chosen?
Sure. The trees we plant in most of our projects are fast-growing leguminous trees. These are trees that can handle the degraded lands and can grow in degraded conditions, which are what predominate all over Haiti. They're also often referred to as pioneer species, and these are trees that can fix atmospheric nitrogen and utilize that because the source of nitrogen in the ground is all depleted. And so these are very fast-growing, hardy, tough trees that can essentially reestablish conditions that allow you to diversify in the future.
One of the questions is, trees, we understand, help reduce your carbon footprint. Is that correct?
Right.
How so?
It's a very interesting discussion. Essentially, by taking degraded land and planting trees there, and essentially turning it back into a forest, all the carbon that's locked up in the wood of the tree is carbon that's sequestered from the atmosphere. That carbon was previously floating around in the air and is now locked up in the wood of the tree. Now say one of those trees dies. As long as you've taken an area of land that was previously degraded and turned it back into forest, if one tree dies, another tree is going to replace it. So the net effect is the standing biomass on that land is all sequestered carbon, as long as it stays in a natural state.
So if we have 10,000 PG friends or fans,
right,
and we have 10,000 trees, can you calculate the reduction in the carbon footprint?
We do. We have a calculation based on the number of trees, and it comes out to about 50 pounds of carbon per tree per year. It's a bit of a rough estimate because the best way to measure it is on a unit of area, like per hectare, per acre, per square kilometer. In this case, we've taken essentially the growth rate of the trees and done a little bit of math. You can find out the calculations on our website. We've published them there. And it comes out to about 50 pounds of carbon per tree per year.
Why are trees so important
Right.
in dealing with climate change in terms of carbon footprint? How do they help?
Right. Well, they estimate that at least 20% of global carbon emissions come from deforestation and land degradation. It is a huge problem. I mean, people often think of the carbon sources they're most familiar with, which are cars, trains, planes, power plants. But the fact is millions of people, billions of people on this earth live in small subsistence agriculture. And the combined effect of these billions of chopping down a few trees, burning a few trees, as well as large agricultural operations like the peat bogs in Indonesia, the large-scale timber harvesting all over the world, all that adds up to a phenomenal amount of carbon being released. And what we are trying to do is help communities bring the trees back so that they're meeting their needs without destroying their local natural resources. The natural resources regenerate, and in doing so, they not only lock up some existing carbon, but they also kind of remove that source, which is a very important point, that it actually removes one of the main sources of carbon that's still being released into the atmosphere.
Well,